Niching your Alpha 2.0 location independent business is one of the easiest ways to get from zero to the money as quickly as possible, but it's difficult and it's a little complicated, and it's one of the things I get the most questions about. So in this video, I'm going to give you some more techniques. Talked about many before. I'm going to give you some more techniques on how to properly find the niche for your location independent business that will set you free. I am Caleb Jones. This is Sovereign CEO. I help people just like you how to set up location independent businesses, move to a less bad country, or at least set up an international backup plan, and do all these things for very little money. So the main problem I see when guys choose a niche is that it really isn't a niche. They think it's a niche, it sounds like a niche, but it's not. Another challenge that I see often is that they will find something that might be a niche, but it won't be a good niche. So in this video, I'm going to give you 4 parameters you should run through whenever you have a niche idea for your business. Every niche you choose for your business, or multiple businesses, however you want to do this, because the Alpha 2.0 model is 2 to 4 companies, but getting ahead of myself, should adhere to all 4 of these parameters. If it doesn't adhere to all 4 of these parameters, then it is not a niche, or it's not a good niche, and you shouldn't do it, or you should radically change it. Before I get to the 4 items, if you like this content, if this is helpful to you, you should subscribe to this channel, put a like on this video, click the notification bell, and leave a comment on this video. Doesn't really matter what you say. As long as I get more algorithm-friendly interactivity on these videos, the more of these videos I will do for you for free, so you're just helping yourself. So starting off with number 1, and these are not listed in any particular order because they're all equally important. Number 1, the niche must be a niche. It can't be too broad. So usually when guys give me ideas for niches, they are way too broad. A niche is something that is extremely narrow. The more narrow it is, the better. The more narrow it is, the more profitable it will be for you, because the less you'll have to work, the easier it will be to target your customers, the more you can charge for what you're doing, the more word of mouth business you will get, the faster you will be perceived as an industry expert, if that's valid for your business. Numerous advantages the more narrow you get. If you make it broad, you're going to make it more difficult to do all of those things. You want as narrow as you can go. And let me address the objection I hear all the time. Well, what if it's too narrow? How can I make money if it's too narrow? I have never heard of a very, very narrow niche where I couldn't make $1 million a year in that niche. I've never seen it. It doesn't matter. We're not talking here about starting a multi-billion-dollar or trillion-dollar company. We're not talking here about starting Apple or Tesla or something like that. We're talking about having $85,000 a year or more if you want it as a location-independent business with low overhead. Any niche will work for that, including if you want to make a hell of a lot more than $85,000 a year, up to $500,000 a year, even $1 million a year. So don't worry about making it too narrow. There is no such thing as too narrow. Let me give you some examples of some niche ideas that guys have actually pitched me that are way too broad, so you know what too broad sounds like. Men between the age of 20 and 35 who want to start a business. That's not a niche. That's huge. Are you kidding? No. Here's another one. Software engineers who are really stressed out at their jobs. Not a niche. Way too broad. Meet a software engineer who isn't stressed out. Plus, how many software engineers are there? Billions of them all over the planet, right? Right. Here's another one I've heard. Men under 40 who want to get a girlfriend. Not a niche. Way too broad. Here's a business one. A doctor who wants more patients. Most doctors want more patients, and how many doctors are there in the world? These are not niches. They sound like niches because you're not just saying doctor or man, you're putting one more parameter on it. Usually niches have several parameters, not just one. So instead of saying something like software engineers who are stressed at their jobs, you could say something like a self-employed software engineer over the age of 65 who is nearing retirement. Now that's a niche. There we go. Do you see the difference between those two things? You see how narrow that was? As narrow as you can. I think guys are nervous about getting too narrow, and so they give me these broad niche ideas, and likely that's probably the number 1 problem you've got with any niche ideas you have, is that your niche is probably too broad. By the way, if you want help on how to start a location-independent niched business where you don't have to work that hard and it makes a decent amount of money and it's location dependent, you should go to locationIbusiness.com. That is my Alpha 2.0 business course on exactly how to start a business like this. It's my best-selling course. You will like it. You'll benefit from it. You should check it out. Requirement number 2 of your niche. The niche cannot be in a market or industry that is dying. Now, it doesn't have to be booming or growing either, although that will help. I would much rather start a niche business in cybersecurity or cryptocurrency, which are growing, than a business in carpet cleaning, which is just kind of stagnating. But carpet cleaning would be okay because carpet cleaning isn't dying. People still need carpets. But you can't have a niche in an industry that is dying. What are some dying industries? Newspapers, printed magazines, recording studios. People don't need those anymore because they have their own recording equipment right in their homes. Office supplies, anything paper intensive. These are dying industries. You don't want a niche in a dying industry. And that's usually not the problem, but I have seen guys attempt this where they come up with a cool niche idea, but it's in a dying industry. I'm like, dude, just take that niche idea and move it over to an industry that is doing well, that is booming. You'll have to work a lot less hard. And that's the rule, by the way. The more that industry is growing and booming, the less you'll have to work for the money. If you're going to work in the manufacturing industry in a Western country, you're going to have to work really, really hard. But if you're going to work in the cybersecurity industry, you won't have to work very hard at all for the same amount of income. Number 3, and I've talked about this many times, and this is one of the big problems I see with you guys in coming up with your niches. The niche must have a very big problem, or in some more rare cases, a big need that the niche really wants to solve. In other words, it's not just that the niche has a problem that you see from the outside in. The niche has to have a problem that they themselves in the niche perceive as a problem. Here's a perfect example of that. I've gotten this niche idea from 2 different people now, stated differently, but it's the same niche. Gamers who want to lose weight. What these people are doing is they're looking at gamers, they're seeing how fat or skinny they are, and they're saying, well, they need to get physically fit. That is your perception from you outside of that niche. Or maybe you're a gamer too, but you're an unusual one. Be honest with me. How badly do gamers want to get off their fat asses and lose weight? Not a niche. Yes, they have a problem that you perceive as a problem, but they don't perceive it as a problem. You need to have a niche that has a big problem that they perceive as a serious problem, enough to spend money and time and effort to fix. Here's another one I've heard several times in several variations of this. Aggressive CEOs who want to learn meditation. Now, are there a lot of CEOs out there who could benefit from learning how to meditate? Yes, I meditate almost every day. It is a huge benefit. But do aggressive CEOs really want to take the time to fucking meditate? No, they don't. The people who want to take the time to meditate, I have found, are people who don't make a lot of money to begin with, or people who have already made their money and now they don't have to work as hard. People in the heat of building their companies probably don't give a shit much about putting everything on pause for 20 minutes to sit down and meditate. Not a good niche. And again, you may perceive it as a problem from the outside looking in, and you might be right, but they don't perceive it as a problem. They have to perceive it as a problem. Cool? Number 4, and this is a big one I see a lot of guys make mistakes on. The niche must have enough money to pay for what you're trying to sell them. The niche ideally should be flush with cash. They should have plenty of money laying around so that they can spend money on whatever you're trying to sell them, so you can help fix the big problem that they perceive as a problem. What are some examples of some niches or demographics or industries that have very little money? Single mothers. I would never start a business helping single mothers. Nothing wrong with single mothers, nothing against single mothers, but they don't have any money. Why am I going to build an entire business around a niche that doesn't have any money? Another common one is college students. College students? These guys who eat, top ramen in their dorms because they have no money other than what they beg from mommy and daddy? That's not a good niche, in my opinion. Here's a business example: startups with no investors. So I've seen several people do this. They start a business where they're going after startups, but startups just from one guy starting his own business. Let me tell you from vast experience starting companies, when you start a new business, you have no money. You're poor as fuck. You don't want to spend any money on anything. Now, if you have investors, that's different, but that's a different category, a different niche. See my point? Often I will see guys start businesses in the artistic realms, like they focus on artists. Artists? Do artists make a lot of money? Comic book artists. Do comic book artists make a lot of money? No. Guys who make independent films. Are these guys with lots of money? No. So you want to make sure that your niche is not only very narrow and in a decent industry and actually has a problem they perceive as a problem, but has the money to spend. Now here's one thing I will throw out there on this. I am niched in my two online companies, Alpha Male 2.0 and Sovereign CEO. And I have segments of the audience where I have some segments of my audience who are young guys who make no money, don't have any money. But I have another segment of my audience who are young guys who have money and older guys who have money. So you can sell to those segments, but you have to make sure that segment is there. I would, again, never start a business where I'm going to focus on those few college students who make a lot of money. No, I don't want to work that hard. No, thank you. Finding a proper niche for your new business is probably the most important step in forming a new Alpha 2.0 business. It is something you need to take very seriously and spend time on and get it done right. If you want an entire podcast I did on how to find a niche for your business, you can watch that video right there, and I'll see you in that video. Bye.